Hi everyone, thank you for coming, and welcome to the third spotlight lecture in this series, and the theme on global health. Tonight we'll be hearing from Nav, the founder of the Washing Machine Project and a trustee of EWB UK. But first, I'd like to invite you all to our first family social tomorrow. It's going to be a game night, quite informal, with your families. And if you're not in a family yet, don't worry, you can just turn up and we'll add you to one. I'll put the link in the chat once I finish speaking. Also, on the 26th of November, in the final instalment of the series, we'll be hosting a spotlight lecture from Andrew Lamb, who's the Global Innovation Lead for Field Ready, a humanitarian innovation organisation that enables local manufacturing of aid supplies and disaster responses. He's also the former CEO of EWB UK, and he's currently working in northern western Syria on producing a range of necessary items and a PPE for frontline workers. That's enough from me, and over to Nav.
Thank you very much, Beth. Appreciate the invite. Hope everyone is well. Hope you're happy and healthy. And yeah, thank you for joining us today in this lecture. I'm just going to share my slides. How many times in the last 10 months have you heard someone say, "Can you see my screen?" Okay, so yeah, really appreciate the invite. I think first thing to say is I know exactly how you guys are feeling. I've been in your position. I studied aerospace engineering as an undergraduate. I was a keen supporter of Engineers Without Borders when I was at university, and then joining the international placement program, and then now becoming a director and sitting on the board, advising on EWB's strategy is a privilege, and I'm here to support you and give you guidance and show you the importance of what you're doing. The world really needs more people like you, engineers with a globally responsible mindset, to be ethically astute, and that's why we're here today. So we're going to cover off a small introduction, why globally responsible engineering is so important in today's world, and I kind of briefly touched upon it. We're going to use a case study, which is the Washing Machine Project, which is a social enterprise that I founded. I want to take you through that and the importance of that. Why is it important for you? You know, your role as an engineer, and how you can change mindsets, practices in the companies that you work in the future. Not only that, but just your daily life as well. So that's really important. You really have an impact. And then what's next? You know, Engineers Without Borders UK is going through a strategy change from 2021 onwards, and we want you to be a part of the conversation. You are the movement, and you are the best people to advise us on how to move forwards as a charity. So a bit about me. My name is Nav. It means new in Punjabi, and I've always been obsessed with new and innovative things from a very young age. My dad was an aerospace engineer, and he'd take me to air shows from a very young age, and I'd be obsessed with how these planes would get up into the sky, and then I'd come back home and I would take out the toolbox from the cupboard and take apart appliances and not really know how to put them back together again. And I used to break everything, and that really used to make my mum very angry. It used to really piss her off. And yeah, I'm wearing two hats for this session. As a member elected trustee of Engineers Without Borders UK, and the founder of the washing machine project. So you'll hear two sides to me, and I am your voice on the board um, at, at the charity. So I really enjoy hearing the views of the membership, and you know, I welcome to continue this conversation after this lecture. So, you know, the current situation right now is, you know, it's important to take stock of how much progress we've made over the last 100 years. You know, as humanity, you know, we're living in the safest times. You know, when it comes to kind of wars and things like that, people are uh, uh, gaining rights year on year to freely express how they feel, you know, or any bias they have. Um, but like globally, the planet is facing some really irreversible challenges. I don't know if you've seen the David Attenborough documentary on Netflix, but that is a really good documentary that really summarizes the current situation. And I think you guys at Engineers Without Borders Bristol are really aware of some of the, you know, the planetary challenges that we're facing. You know, the rise in global emissions and temperature, as well as the global population, which is increasing. You know, since the 1950s, the world's human population has increased 3 times, rising from 2.6 billion to 7.8 billion people today, and that's projected to increase another 1.5 times to 11 billion by 2100. And I'm gonna to bet that, you know, despite our so-called technological advances and development, you know, you know already that massive inequality already exists. Uh, you probably know already that, you know, 2,153 people have more wealth than 60%. That's 60 of the total world global population. So that's 2,153 people have more wealth than 60% of the world's population. Um, that is incredible numbers. That's incredible numbers. That's it's really hard to kind of get around that figure personally. Uh, and then you know, they represent 0.0000276% of the world's population, but they have the equivalent of 60% of the wealth. So huge inequality exists. As well as that, you know, something that I've done extensive research on is, you know, hand washing clothes. 70% of the world's population today doesn't have access to an electric washing machine like you and I. They get on their hands and knees and scrub each piece of cloth. And it's really backbreaking work. Not only that, you know, 50% of the world's population don't have access to continuous gas or electricity, so they choose biomass cookstoves to cook their food, you know, whether it be rocks or traditional clay ovens, you know, which is really inefficient. You know, you have to search for wood. So these kinds of inequalities exist today, and it's really hard to imagine that with how lucky we are with our heated rooms and sheltered environments that we are in right now. I think you already know that we're facing serious planetary challenges, and you know, human activity is a major contributing factor to that. You know, um, going into a pandemic and limiting our global footprint, whether it be through air travel or consuming less, has only like really made a small dent in the existing challenges today. You know, climate change is fueled by burning fossil fuels, ocean acidification as a subsequent result. You know, the loss of biodiversity due to a greater demand for land and pollution, reducing our environment's resilience to change, and bringing about the extinction of some 8.7 billion animal species that we share our planet with. So I'm sure you know all of this stuff already. I'd like to now introduce you to what is Kate Rothwoods' donut economics. And when I saw this for the first time, it took quite a few looks for me to get my head around. So I'm going to try and explain this. It's a really interesting and useful concept to really highlight the need to understand that to tackle the Sustainable Development Goals introduced by the United Nations, we must consider a mindset and a skill set to require this change. You know, the world faces twin challenges. You know, we need to deliver a decent standard of living for everyone, whilst also trying to live within our ecological limit. And for me, that seems really unfair, right? People that don't even have the accesses to what we have right now, we're already limiting what they can receive, something that they've wanted all their lives. But I think as engineers, it's really important for us to develop smart solutions. The way I imagine it is, you know, of course, I want the world's population, you know, that 5 billion people that get on their hands and knees, scrub each cloth, spending hours a day doing it. Of course, I want them to have electronic washing machines. But we know that not everyone can have electronic washing machines because, you know, it's just not possible with our planetary boundary. So it's up to engineers to come up with smart and innovative solutions to solve some of these problems. And so these two concerns brought together in Kate Rothwoods' donut economic model visualize a kind of sweet spot, a space between the planetary boundaries of the social foundation where it is ecologically safe and socially just for all of humanity to exist together. And on the inside of that donut, we have the social foundations such as food, health, and education, where everyone has the access to that. And these social foundations are broadly drawn from the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and on the outside we have the upper limits of our planet water. You know things like fresh water, our oceans, our biodiversity. These are in our areas in red where we're not meeting the needs of people, or where we're pushing our ecological limits as a planet. And if we think as engineers, you know, both working on both rings, our job is on the inside is to expand that donut to as many people as possible, so that the people working on outside and the inside can have more access, and that's the aim. I think this is a really exciting time for engineers. It's such an amazing time for engineers because everyone is becoming more woke, you know? Sustainability is on the on the agenda for so many companies around the world. I saw the it was a kind of annual book for a very well recognized oil company, and I saw the amount of mentions of sustainability over the last 10 years, and it was interesting that there was a hundredfold increase in the word sustainability in this annual book that they released in 2019 compared to 2009. That's incredible. So it's on the agenda of a lot of people, and engineering is the solution to all of this. So it's always played a key role in human development and the impact that we have on the planet. Engineering is widely accepted as a way you know, to solve some of these problems. The way we are currently living right now it's not sustainable, nor is it equitable. So it's not fair either. So therefore, we have to be doing things to change what we're currently doing. And if we want planet Earth and the human species to thrive in the future, we have to become globally responsible. And globally responsible engineering is really a term that Engineers Without Borders UK use to refocus the engineering mindset and skill set in ensuring engineering serves all people and the planet better than ever before. So, why am I here? I love Engineers Without Borders UK, and I would not be here, and I would not have started the washing machine project if it wasn't for Engineers Without Borders UK. This picture that you can see is me in South India. Before this picture, I was working for Dyson. I was on the graduate program. I was there for 3 years, but I wanted my engineering to do more. I realized that every good bit of engineering that I'm doing is just making a vacuum cleaner for a rich middle class person somewhere around the world. And I wanted to make impact with my engineering, and that's why I joined the international program with Engineers Without Borders UK, and I moved to South India for 1 year. I was making clean and efficient cookstoves at the time. And so I was living in a really rural village called Kulapalem, with really infrequent access to running water, limited access to electricity. And to the right of the screen here is a lady called Divya. Divya became my best friend. She was the only lady on the street that spoke English. She learned it at the age of, 14, 15 in high school, but never used it since. She was a stay-at-home mom to 2 children, got married at the age of 17, and she really wanted to work but didn't have the time because she had to cook and clean and fetch wood every day. And this is one of the pictures that we took together with her doing that activity, washing her and her family's clothes on her hands and knees. And it was backbreaking work. She used to complain of joint pain and skin irritation. And as an engineer, I saw this and I was like, why is someone like Divya doing this relatively unproductive task? Surely there's a solution for this. And so it was at that point that I promised her a manual washing machine. And her eyes lit up, and we got to work. And I don't know if you can see me right now on the video, but I actually got this picture printed on my bank card to remind me every day of that promise to Divya. I came back home to the UK. I did two things. I took up a master's in humanitarianism, conflict and development at Bath University, your arch nemesis. And I thought it was important to kind of marriage my passion for humanitarianism with my skill set of engineering. And you know what? To be honest, I was the only engineer on the course. My fellow students are some of the most talented humanitarians I know, working in really senior leadership roles in charities right across the world, from the UN to Save the Children to Oxfam, in director roles, but they have no idea about engineering. And that's why it's really important to have engineers at the seat of the table for some of these key decision makers. So that was the first thing that I did. And the second thing that I did was I registered the washing machine project. We make manual washing machines that save time, water, and effort for people like Divya. And it's even in our logo, you know, the heart in the middle with the darkness going into light, with the beneficiary or the user at the center of everything that we do. Divya is at the center of everything that we do. And that really aligns with the globally responsible mindset that we need to adopt when innovating solutions. So the problem about hand washing is really stark, you know. We've traveled to 6 countries and interviewed over 500 families and have found that the burden of hand washing clothes is disproportionately placed on women, with women using more than 40 liters of water for this activity. We've traveled to refugee camps, rural areas in Iraq, Lebanon, Jordan, the Philippines, India. To the left of the screen here is in Cameroon, and you know, it's insane. You know, women wash on their hands and knees in lakes, rivers, and streams in buckets using cold water, causing back pain, joint pain, and skin irritation. And they do so for up to, and in some cases, more than 20 hours a week for this activity. That's 2.5 working days. It's really backbreaking work, and Divya is not alone. You know, 70% of the world's population live like this, as we said. So, you know, it's not all doom and gloom, because we're a part of the solution as well. And you know, you can see by the video playing that we've created a manual off-the-grid solution that has a large drum capacity and low water consumption. It's a manual crank handle. It's called the Divya after the inspiration. And the technology is in the drum itself with the baffles, causing foaming, agitation of clothes, cleaning clothes effectively. We have 50 of these washing machines being tested right now in refugee camps in Iraq. This is with the support of Oxfam, who seed funded this project. Now, the feedback is really important. You know, users have said that they save 75% of time, from 2 hours a day to 30 minutes, and all of your clothes are washed. We use all of these bits of feedback for our next prototype and our next development, implementing in other places in the world. I think this is really important on this slide, which is the competitor analysis. The washing machine project isn't the first organization to make manual washing machines, but from our research, we find that we are the only enterprise in the world today looking at this problem from a humanitarian and development point of view for people like Divya. And that's reflected in our large drum capacity for, you know, those larger families. and the relatively low water consumption for those large families. And our target price is £35. And you can see the other companies, they're quite slick, really marketed for woke people like you and I that are choosing to live off the grid, that are going on camping holidays, or drive RV vans and things like that. And if something breaks, it's really hard to replace. So our components are off the shelf, readily available. So if something breaks, they can replace it straight away. You know, there's 1 billion families right now, people like Divya, in developing markets, 3.6 million families in refugee camps, and there's that growing number of people that are choosing to live off the grid in developed markets. But our initial focus is in Iraq, but we've had orders from Nigeria, from Greece. I just had a meeting at 6 a.m. this morning to implement these washing machines in Papua New Guinea, just off the coast of Australia. So there's a real need for these washing machines. And by 2023, we will want to have distributed 6,500 washing machines in 8 countries, saving over 1 million liters of water. And it's really surreal just having this conversation with you, because all I wanted to do was make a washing machine for Divya. So our roadmap is launching at the end of next year, and going through those pilot prototyping iteration phases. And we're also registering a charitable arm for the washing machine project, which is called the Washing Machine Project Foundation. Now, Engineers Without Borders UK is an amazing movement. It's a diverse cohort of individuals who have one common goal: to see that engineering serves all people and the planet better than ever before. You guys are amazing. I get so inspired when I talk to people like you. It's really impacted my career. You know, I was so stressed graduating with a degree in aerospace engineering, and I applied for hundreds and hundreds of placements at the time for things that I wasn't even really interested in. I applied for missile companies, defense companies, aerospace companies that had no moral alignment to my passions. And it was my work with Engineers Without Borders UK that I had that light bulb moment. And I said to myself, actually, you know, making cook stoves for people who really need them and the bottom of the pyramid was so important, you know, and it really aligned with my values and beliefs. And that's why I started the Washing Machine Project. And you know, we're really proud of what has been achieved so far with the movement, with our chapters, with Bristol, and we look to continue to evolve our work to tackle the very real challenges ahead. And we need people like you on board to help us with that. So, you know, I've said it before, we're developing our strategy for the next few years and launching in 2021. And we're looking at what role Engineers Without Borders UK as a movement has in achieving our goal, in ensuring that all engineering is globally responsible and the needs of all people are met within the planetary limits that I described. So, you know, there's a lot to do and it's very urgent, you know, so we need to roll up our sleeves and we need to get to work. And we know that we're not the only ones working on this. So we're asking for your thoughts on what we should do, what we should focus our attention on over the next few years to make a real positive and significant contribution to this problem, and where in the world we should be working. As a part of my role as a member of lecture trustee, you guys elected me in this position. I want to hear your thoughts. I represent you. And so I'm going to hand over to Kerry, who's going to conduct a really interesting activity that I really want you guys to be engaged in, because it's really important. Over to you, Kerry.
Excellent. Thank you, Nav. And thank you so much for sharing your story and kind of what you've been up to since graduating. It's always inspirational to hear different walks of life and kind of what those turning moments were for you, which kind of changed your direction. So as Nav